Illinois, and you're listening to Supergirl Radio.
DC TV podcast. There's too many now! Exclamation point. Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no!
Yeah. So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor Boardroom or Ballroom, because
Really? She looks like a boss in this coat.
Is Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
I'm Morgan Glennon.
And for this episode of the podcast, we are live and wired to actually talk about the television show.
What?
I know.
Is that what this podcast is for? I forgot.
So we are live to talk about the CW Supergirl final season premiere date and share our hopes and concerns about season 6. So feel free to share any questions or comments that you might have in the chat, and we'll get to them and share them with everyone. And I guess maybe we should get to the news. So according to TVLine.com, Supergirl is taking her final flight this spring. The CW drama will return for its 6th and final season on Tuesday, March 30th, 9/8 Central. Supergirl will take over the time slot currently occupied by Superman and Lois, which will go on a brief hiatus due to a COVID-related production interruption that occurred earlier this
That's
summer.
my new band name, Production Interruption.
I love it. It's a great band name. Superman and Lois will return with the rest of its first season on Tuesday, May 18th at 9 p.m. Supergirl will then return to complete its final season sometime this summer. Exact date TBD, because of course it is. I really needed someone
Nothing
to
says
explain.
victory lap like having to stop halfway through and just kind of wait until TBD when you can continue. We did it. Hold on. We're just gonna wait here for a while, and then we're gonna keep running eventually.
At some point, it will come back and finish it out. I really needed someone to explain this schedule to me. It is crazy.
We were like texting back and forth, like, but I don't understand, Rebecca. Like, what does TBD mean? Like, when is the end of the season coming back? Like, given that, so do you know how many episodes Superman and Lois even has this season?
15, I think.
15?
I think so. If I remember correctly.
Screwed. Okay,
Yeah.
so if Superman and Lois only airs like 4 episodes, which somebody might say, why not just hold it until you have more to start? But I'm not like a 10th level scheduler like they are. So if it restarts on May 18th, and it's got like 10 more episodes.
That's good. Okay, so here's what I know for sure.
That's gonna take it through like August. Okay, it'll be the fall TV season again, and we'll be right back here.
So here's what I think is going to happen. So Supergirl season 6 is going to premiere on March 30th. It's going to be the first episode. Then it's going to go through when Superman and Lois returns on May 18th. Supergirl will have aired 7 episodes by my calculations. So that's still, I think we're supposed to get Supergirl. I think it's supposed to get 20.
I think
so. That's not even half.
No. I hope episode 7 ends dramatically.
I hope it's like a big cliffhanger. That
I kind of hope it's not. I kind of hope they're like, oh my God, episode 7 was our Pam from HR bottle episode. What are we doing? What are we going to do?
I don't know. I mean, do you think that there's a positive to this at all? I'm so confused. It just seems like they have what, less than 3 weeks to promote it? I hope they start tonight. I hope, because Superman and Lois again is airing during our live stream. I think. I don't know. I don't care. So I think it's supposed to be airing tonight. So I hope that there's like 10 promos for Supergirl during that time, because they really need to get, because typically with a final season of television, you want to promote, hey, this is the last season.
Usually,
this is the last time you're ever going to see this show.
Remember, Supergirl? Us neither. It's the final season. Like, that's what I expected to happen.
Yes, me too.
But instead, it's like, remember, Supergirl? Us neither. Here's some of it. What? Like, I don't understand. So it just really feels, as a Supergirl fan, this feels very insulting to me. It's it's like they got Superman. That's what they really wanted. But now Superman has to take a break because he's tie-tie. And so they're going to bring in Supergirl while he takes his nap. And then when he's ready to go again, they're like, Supergirl, go stand off to the side where you belong. It's like so insulting.
It is.
Why not either start Superman and Lois after Supergirl, or I don't know, like or run Supergirl during this hiatus and run it for the whole way through. Like, the idea, she's literally just a placeholder until they can get more Superman episodes. But it's her final season. Like, there's not any other programming they could have put in that place that's not the final season of a very popular television show that they have.
You could have run, I think you could have run some reruns of something in its place. Because it is, the only excuse for it is they need something in that time slot. And it's very frustrating because we waited this long already. I would have been fine just waiting until the summer and then having it start in the summer.
Honestly, I figured it was the summer that we were going to be doing it. And I had no plans to, I was like, oh no, what is watching a TV show and podcasting? I don't remember. I like this feeling of panic came over me. It's like the big test is coming and I haven't studied at all. And I'm not going to. And so I mean, I'm going to have to rewatch the season 5 finale. I'm like going to have to, because besides Rama Khan saying, yes, I Rama Khan, and then I think getting stuck in a bottle, I don't remember anything else that happened in that finale.
You don't remember Brainy like being real like,
Brainy
really
was like
put his hand in the thing and then really struggling with it.
And then Lex Luthor walked in like, hey, thanks for doing that. And Brainy was like, I didn't see this coming somehow. I'm so smart. And then I was those are the things I remember. I think something happened with Kara.
Supergirl gave a hope speech in the VR, maybe? Was that in the last episode?
Yes, Supergirl gave a hope speech in the VR. Alex decided to embrace bright blue eyeshadow. And that's all I remember. So I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that season 5 finale. Now I wonder if they are, because I see a scenario in which they just decide to start fresh. They're like, all those hanging, like, oh my God, what was the name of the big villainous?
Leviathan.
Who is Leviathan? They're like, who is Leviathan? Who cares?
But they were the biggest threat of all time, Morgan.
They needed to get that product launch out, and they did it. They did it. What if they were like, mission accomplished? We really just wanted to launch this new product. Like, that's all Leviathan was. It's just like a bunch of evil aliens, but they're in like little suits and ties.
Well, I think that the premise of that was we were supposed to meet the head of Leviathan. The lady head of Leviathan, and we never did. So I guess
right.
I guess we're supposed to figure that out. So I find this all very strange because I feel like I mean, maybe this is just ego talking about. I feel like we promote Supergirl Radio more than the CW has promoted Supergirl, because and maybe it's because I would run my social media account differently, but over the last year, they have done relatively nothing to keep Supergirl in the conversation on Twitter, on Instagram. And it's very, very strange to me. They would wish cast members happy birthday on their birthday, and that's kind of it. A lot of the accounts are like retweeting other shows, and I find that so disappointing that they're not even making an attempt to keep Supergirl in the conversation.
It feels to me a lot like the network has decided Supergirl has already ended in their minds. It's like, oh well, last season, let's just get through this. And it's treating it like that, and it's scheduling it like that. It's like this is a big show that was on for 6 years, that it was very popular, that a lot of people liked. And I don't feel like it's getting a lot of respect in its final season. Like, I remember other shows that had final seasons where everything was like the final season of, oh my God, can you believe Supernatural's finally ending? Mortality is real.
And then it didn't. And then they had to come back for another season. Because wasn't that the case with Supernatural? It was like supposed to have its final season, and then COVID happened. They were like, we still have episodes to air. What do we do?
It was my favorite thing, because my long running joke was that Supernatural was going to like survive us all. Like in the end times, when it was just like rubble and cockroaches, Supernatural would be playing on a TV in the background with a fresh new episode. But like, I feel like they made a bigger deal about Supernatural, a show that was like 20 years old, ending, than Supergirl, which like is a show that's I feel like still has some juice left in it. I'm sure Supernatural was great the whole time. The whole time.
Every
love
episode,
Supernatural. Don't send me anything. But I don't know. It feels so, the way that they're scheduling the final season is not like this is, a victory lap. It's not like this is, exciting. It's the final season. It's like, oh, and Supergirl.
Yeah, we just needed to fill a time slot. And the most offensive thing, I think, with all this is Miss Fiction Fanatic says, I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio. They really don't want you to podcast Tuesdays at 9. Thoughts, Morgan?
You know what? This is war, CW. We're gonna take all of your time slots. That's it. Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? I can't believe they won the time slot war. I can't believe that I started a fight that they finished. They were like, "Oh, really? You think this is a funny joke about not giving up Tuesdays? Well, guess what's on not Tuesdays now."
Well, and it's all Superman and Lois's fault.
It is, and I feel comfortable blaming them. I'm gonna take this out on the right person. Superman, the television show Superman and Lois. This is their fault, and we are now in a fight. They can apologize to me. I will accept their apology, but it must be heartfelt.
Yeah, because that's the whole thing. If Supergirl is now airing on Tuesdays, we cannot podcast about it. I mean, I suppose we could podcast right after, but really, I think we need to like digest. Yeah, it needs to simmer a little bit. I need to think about it and be like, although that might be interesting to try that one time to see what see if we remember anything.
The first episode, we just get in there. We're just like, I just watched it 10 minutes ago. I have so many feelings, but I don't remember.
I have no notes prepared.
I haven't processed anything.
I don't know that we are the kind of podcast that is really fit for an after show, but maybe we can mix it up. Maybe one episode. So we're gonna have to find another time. How long have
we been on Tuesdays? Like, it feels like it's been years.
Years.
They are messing up a years-long tradition of Tuesday recordings. Like, but even before we did these live shows, we always just recorded our episode on Tuesdays.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Like, I think in season 1, maybe we did Wednesdays or maybe Mondays. I think when we first started, it was either Mondays or Tuesdays. But then we've been on Tuesdays for a long time. Though.
We've been on Tuesdays for a long time. Why wouldn't they respect that?
No respect. Yeah. So mad.
We
had so many weeks we were joking about this, and now we're forced out of it.
I know. They knew how to win, Rebecca. They took us down.
Oh, man.
They're
really
like,
insulting.
You don't want to give up Tuesdays.
Well, you're just going to have to.
Well, what if the show was that day?
We have no choice. So
Touche.
so we don't know exactly. Can you hear my text messages ding?
I cannot.
Okay, good. Because my friends keep, I'm in a group text chat.
No.
And they keep sending me a text. And I'm like, hello, I'm podcasting, please. So so as long as you don't hear it
the group chat's blowing up.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure in case it was dinging and annoying people. So we're going to have to figure out when we are going to change. I don't think we know that. We've got a couple of weeks to figure that out.
Can you see in the background? Can you see this?
I see Beaker. What is he doing?
Beaker? I don't know. I'm concerned because did you see how he looked over his shoulder at me like he's planning something? I don't like the way. What do you want? What are you up to? Oh God! Now he's come. Now I've called him. Now I've called him forth.
He is hatching a plan. I can see it in his eyes.
I'm scared.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess this is what they felt like they had to do, the CW. I guess this was just inevitable. But I don't like it. I don't like that they don't have a lot of time to promote the show adequately. I don't like the fact that they're breaking it up. I wonder if Beaker has any thoughts.
He's mad. He's so mad. I've never seen him this mad. Look at him. Look at him. He's pacing now. He's pacing over the.
He's so stressed out.
So stressed. He's like, "What am I gonna do? This is my Tuesdays at 9 was just walking back and forth in front of your camera." He's gotten used to a certain level of celebrity, and I don't want to say he's a diva, but he's become quite a monster.
He's getting there. He's getting there.
So Rachel in the chat says, to be fair, they're not promoting the final season of Black Lightning either, apparently, which is funny because honestly, I kind of forgot it was the last season of Black Lightning. To her point, like I haven't seen much on like their Twitter accounts or anything like that. Like whenever I have on the CW, I feel like I don't see like promos that are like, "Don't forget the last season."
Until you read that comment, I had forgotten that as well. Jeez, what is the CW doing? That is very bizarre.
I feel like it's like, oh, can we not get corporate synergy with these shows on HBO Max? We don't care anymore.
It is so strange. Final seasons of TV shows are a big deal. I would be promoting the heck out of that.
Yeah, I feel like they've been breaking the budget for Superman and Lois, though. I've seen them everywhere.
Oh, and they had the weirdest promotion too. It's very, very strange. A lot of that, like they had video promos set to something that sounded like John Lennon's "Imagine." I was like, "What is this? What is this?"
You're right. I've seen those. I was like, "What?
This is how you're promoting a Superman and Lois show? What is this?"
They should have just got all the cast members from the CW to sing that into their phone.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning of the pandemic. And that went over really well for all the celebrities. And I'm sure it would have been a hit for Superman and Lois.
It was so strange. So I don't know what's going on in their marketing department. It is very bizarre. Emma mentions the lack of information around this season. We know nothing. We don't know anything about. Normally they'll like tease the big bad for the season or new cast members, recurring cast members, new people they've hired. We don't know anything. I mean, some of the cast members like David Harewood, I think, has posted a couple things, and maybe Stas Nair and Nicole Maines and Jesse Rath. Maybe I've seen some like behind the scenes stuff, but like the network hasn't done anything.
Oh yeah, like I've seen the cast post about like filming, and I've seen that for like a little while since they went back and started working on the season, but like that's not promotion from the network. I haven't seen anything from the network. Usually they did they release one of those little like synopsises of the season even?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Usually they had like the little I think even Legends, when they announced the date for Legends premiere, they were like in season 6, like one of those things. But nothing for Supergirl, really. Oh. When Legends seems to get better promotion than Supergirl, something's gone awry. I'm not used to it. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
It is wild. Let's see if there are any other thoughts in the chat before we move on. Samwise says, the way Superman and Lois has written Kara out, it's what's to be expected. I don't know if they've written her out, but they've selectively edited around her. and selectively written around her so that she does not appear on the show. Although it sounds like Bitsy wants Kara to be on there at some points. So the cast seems to want Kara on there. The network does not. So I don't know what's going on there.
I still think part of it is like the crisis issue, like the timeline issue. They're like, they just don't want to get into it. And the easiest way to deal with that is to just pretend like she doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean that's if you don't want people to question it, you just have to. If you don't want
to be like, hey, how did they get engaged like one season ago, but now they have 14-year-olds?
I don't know. Abby did mention Ozzy Tesfaye should be in the writing room and PR room. Her cooking show does more than all combined. Yeah,
I see more about her cooking show than I have seen about the final season. Her Instagram live cooking thing.
The cooking and the CW released a video of Ozzy. I guess it was for International Women's Day, and so there was that. But they did some things for International Women's Day that they had the ladies from the show in tweets and things like that, but it just feels like they're just doing the bare minimum. And maybe I just have a high expectation for something like that, but it's just it's a very disappointing to see. I
mean, the way that they announced it 3 weeks before it's premiering just makes it feel like an afterthought. Like, it's not even that, it's just that they're doing this weird schedule. It's that they announced it last week? They announced it last week, like 3 weeks before it's gonna air. Like, what are people supposed to do with that?
I suppose if you really ramped it up, if you got those teasers going, you got a trailer put out, but you don't have San Diego Comic-Con, you don't have DC Fandom, you don't have any of those big things, so you're gonna really have to concentrate that really all on social media and TV promos. So they better start cranking those things. And it's funny because, like, I don't know. To me, it seems like an easy way you could cut up a little promo of like past episodes really quickly. I don't know. I think it's a little lazy myself. I used to actually, I've mentioned before, I used to work at Turner, and I knew some of the people who worked in, what was it called? Editorial, who did like promos for TBS, TNT, blah, blah, blah. And they would be in there cranking out all kinds of things. So it's disappointing that the CW doesn't seem to be taking that kind of thing very seriously.
Yeah. I think Rachel pointed out that they announced it on Friday, so it hasn't even been a full week. So it's just crazy. It felt like a last minute decision, and I would not be surprised if it wasn't a last minute decision where they're like, oh no, we need something to fill this hole in our schedule. We've got some Supergirl, right?
Yeah, and then on top of it, then breaking it up to where we're not even going to see half of the season, and then we don't even know when that's coming back. That's really that's messed up. It's
TBD. Like, really, you can't guesstimate. You can't just put a date down. You can always push it out. Clearly.
Yeah, just give us something. It's a little ridiculous.
They could at least say like late summer. We'll be returning late summer. Like, just learn from the product launches. Just say a different a time frame, and then just push it out. just like they did with those VRs.
yeah. Leviathan really knows what they're doing when it comes to launching a product. And
they're like no matter what, no matter how many people we accidentally kill, we're not going to push back that launch date.
Get Andrea Rojas on top of a big sign in the middle of a field, and she'll promote the heck out of it for you.
If only we had Andrea Rojas at the network, she would have this.
she would be doing all kinds of commercials. Yeah. Abby says, I thought the producers or someone released info when the show ended early for season 5 that season 6 will be post-crisis and back to the beginning of that. Does that sound familiar? Yes. Remember when that thing came out and we were like, what is this? This sounds exactly like season 5. Do you remember that?
Yes. It was like, yeah, I remember that because I was so mad because I was like, what did we just sit through? What does it all mean?
Yeah, I always thought that was some sort of typo, or I remember a lot of people it correctly
because when I flipped out on Twitter and was like, what did we even watch? A lot of people responded that it was like the old description that they thought that they had just reused and probably wasn't relevant. And I was like, then I could calm down. I could be like, oh my God, no more pencil skirt. Okay. No more Leviathan. I mean, but anything is possible at this point. I feel like is the truth, because we don't know anything about this new season. We don't know who the villains are. We don't know what the theme is. Usually for Supergirl, the theme is pretty important. If the theme is technology, you're going to get a whole season of product launches in VR.
Well, yeah, okay. So I guess that could lead us into some speculations maybe about season 6. So if anybody in the chat has some thoughts about what they think the season is going to be like, since we don't know, maybe we could theorize and share some speculations. So Morgan, do you think it's going to be more Leviathan? And do you have any like hopes for it? If it's not going to be Leviathan, what do you hope? I don't think we've fully discussed our hopes and dreams for season 6. So do you have any?
I have a lot of hopes and dreams for season 6. I'm always pitching them in these podcasts. Great ideas that I don't know why they never use is like, why is a turtle so controversial? Why can't somebody be a turtle person, a turtle girl, a turtle boy? I don't care.
Or a horse, if you want to mix it up. You can do a horse.
I will take any animal-based superhero. If you want to introduce, if maybe it's time for Crypto. I don't know. Crypto's been hanging out with her a lot in the comics. A lot in the comics, and I feel like put a little cape on a dog. You got it. You're done. You're done. The whole season's written there for yourself. I do wonder if they're going to go back to Leviathan, because they did not wrap that up in any way, right? So they left a lot of things hanging open because of the COVID situation, where they had to like sort of Frankenstein together 2 or 3 episodes to make a finale. And it really felt that way. Like when you were watching it, you're like, what's happening? And they didn't resolve anything. So I don't think that they can come back from that season 5 finale and be like, new day, new story. I think you'd be like, is Brainy dead though?
I don't know. I think you could do it. Here's my pitch on how you can get into the first episode, wrap up Leviathan, and then just start something new. So you know that idea of like, so we need to know who the head of Leviathan is. So I anticipate the end of the episode, dramatic music, last shot of the episode. A chair turns around like in a boardroom environment. Doesn't have to be at Catco, but some kind of like dark room, big chair turns around. It's revealed it's Talia al Ghul, and then she's shot and killed immediately. And then that's all you need to do about Leviathan. Finished. Done.
I'm gonna yes and to this idea because I love it. So Talia is like, it was my plan all along. She's got like a cat. She's
okay.
You know, it's Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
She's like, it was my plan all along. And then somebody shoots and kills her, and the cat is like, meow, and runs away. And as the cat runs past this person's legs, they turn around. It's Katie McGraw in a red wig, and she's like, I am Lena Luthor's mother. And it turns out she wasn't dead the whole time. She faked her own death. She like went underground. She's like a criminal mastermind now.
So she's the big bad.
She's pulling all the strings, and she's the big bad. And then we get like down the season, we get like an emotional moment between Katie McGraw and Katie McGraw, because she's playing both parts in this scenario. Now you ask yourself, how does she look the same? How is she not older? There's an explanation for that probably like involves like some sort of like alien juice or kryptonite or something. Maybe she's got powers. I don't know. I'm not doing the writer's job. I'm just pitching things out. I'm just throwing things at the wall.
She could have Lena's comic book powers from the Silver Age, where she had I think she had telepathy.
That's right. Yes, I love the telepathy.
ESP.
Yeah,
whatever that involves.
Or maybe the Talia al Ghul scene. Talia's like, I have a gun, and then so she shoots her. She's like, no, you don't. I knew it. And that's how we find out she's also got psychic powers.
It's not hard.
Good.
I think so. I would watch that. I'd be really excited about that.
And then we get like an Orphan Black situation with Katie McGraw where she's got extra twist. Extra twist is that her mom has her actual accent.
Oh,
so
yes.
she doesn't have to do the American accent.
That's how you tell them apart.
That's how you tell them apart.
We just came up with an incredible pitch for season 6.
Why don't they ever take our pitch?
They never do,
They
and
never
I think the show would be so much more interesting.
It would certainly be wackier, I think, if they took literally any of our pitches. We could also work Nasty Luther into this. Like, Nasty Luther could be like a henchman, and she's like, oh my God, Lena, what is with all the suits and the floral blouses? And she's like, Lena's like, that's just who I am now. I'm just dressing like I should be in a lab.
Yes, or dressing much more appropriately. Could Nasty be like a twin sister she didn't know she had?
Oh my God, I love that.
And that's how Mama Luther is rescued, maybe, is because Nasty Luther somehow, I don't know.
Well, I like
think
the
they have to
scenario
be connected.
because now we're full Orphan Black, right? Katie McGraw is now playing 3 different characters. and then once we've got that in the air, right? Now we're princess switching them. Now, like, they're taking over each other's lives, and like only Kara figures out. She's like, "Wait, you're not Lena." And then like Nasty Luther is like, "Or am I?"
You could do the Leslie Lar scenario.
Yes,
because they're doing the Bottle City. So you could have Lena being sent to the Bottle City, and Nasty takes over her life.
Oh my God, I love that so much. And like she makes the Bottle City into like a little handbag that she carries around with her so that Lena has to see everything that's happening. Oh my God, so good.
That would be a great way to end the show, I think.
It would certainly be a way to end the show. The CW's like, how many episodes did we have of this?
Man, I would watch that though. I really would.
I like this idea. We give a lot of stuff for Katie McGraw to do. All of her various accents are at play now.
I think so. Let's see. So there is the question of Director Bones, though. Jen brings up maybe Leviathan as Director Bones.
I like that too.
We've also talked about the idea that maybe Director Bones could be a lady. It doesn't have. I mean, because if the head of Leviathan is a lady, it can't be Director Bones as we know him. So I think you could gender swap that.
Yeah, she could be Mrs. Director Bones.
I could be on board with that. I would have no problem with just as long as it's a skeleton. That's the only thing that matters.
We're all skeletons underneath anyway.
Yeah, so I'm okay with that. The only prerequisites are skeleton, invisible flesh, cyanide hands, and cigars. Those
are all very important for Director Bones, and none of those feel gendered to me. We can do that all. She can do it all. Mrs. Director Bones.
Yeah. So I think we can make Director Bones happen. So are there any other items on your wish list for season 6? What if you could, in addition to the 3 Lena Luther, the 3 Katie McGraths, what? If you were creating a season, what would you want it to be about?
What would I want a season of Supergirl to be about? Well, first and foremost, Supergirl would be a nice change of pace if it was about Supergirl on Supergirl.
Oh, stop it. That's crazy talk.
I know we're getting way out there now. The 3 Lenas seems more likely, doesn't it, than it actually being centered around Supergirl. I would like it to be like really about her, and also about her relationship with Alex. I think that relationship is kind of the heart of the show, and it's taken kind of a backseat the last season or so, where they've kind of been off on separate journeys. And so I would love to see more of them together. I would love to see them go back to Midvale, maybe like another flashback episode. I'd love to see them get out in space. Like, here you go. You have all these characters who are aliens, and we've have like 1 or 2 episodes that have ever been in space. Now, I understand that their budget is more like, you draw a stick figure on a piece of paper and like a little cloud and like a sun, and then you're like, that's it. That's our budget. But I think that there's low rent ways that they can do it. They could just go to an alien planet where everybody's wearing loungewear, much like we are in real life, and they do on Argo. I'm not gonna question that. That's fine. Because you have Nia too, who is, an alien or part alien.
Yeah.
And we haven't really explored that aspect of her character. I mean, they barely even explored her, learning how to use her powers. They just went like, you have powers, you're sleeping. And then the next thing she knew, she was like, I got the tsunami, don't worry. And I was like, what? How? So I would love it if there was some more focus on I think overall, I would just like season 6 to be more character focused than the way that they've done the last couple seasons, which was plot driven, or also like think of a theme and then work everything from there. And it's like, but what are the characters doing? And they're like, well, they are scared of technology. It's like, that's not a character journey. It's not. So I would love it if they focused on each individual character and like what their journey was and gave them some really good stuff and was really character focused. I think that's my wish for season 6, because this show has so many good characters. You have like Martian Manhunter, you have Nia, you've got Kara, Alex, and Lena. Those 3 go without saying. You got Brainy. Like, you have really good characters on this show, but a lot of times they're just kind of in the background, or they're just giving exposition, or they're just there to hold up a tsunami somehow. But they don't get a lot of development. And so I think, season 6, since it's the last one, I would like to see them all get like a really nice arc for their characters, exploring their characters. I hope everybody gets at least one really good episode on the way out the door. I mean, I'd love to know, what's Kelly's deal? I've asked this a lot with her in regards to what it is she does, but like, what's a day in the life of Kelly? Like, let's take all the superheroes aside. What's she doing now? Like, what's she up to? I want to know more. I just hope, especially that they get into the characters.
Since oh my gosh, Obsidian North. I've already forgotten
right. I know,
businesses and things. She worked at Obsidian North, and now I think after the VR incident, I assume that they're not going to be really functioning anymore.
What if Kelly just takes over Obsidian? What if it's like season 6 starts, everybody else has been fired. Kelly is the only one who ever logged those tickets, and they're like, sorry, I guess it's yours now.
I mean,
and it's like, and then they stare at her and they're like, what are you gonna do with it? Professionally, what do you do? And then we'll have to know.
That would sort of line up how they've treated her career journey so far anyway. So I guess that would make sense. But I think that's a reasonable request to be like, hey, can you just give me character journeys in the last season? Because that's the reason that people show up for this show, is that they like the characters. Because sometimes the stories aren't all that great, but but I still like the characters and I like the actors, and that's why I kind of keep watching. So I don't think that that's too much of a hard request to fulfill. I think for me, I want to see the show go back to the beginning. All good final seasons will go back and revisit how they got there in the first place. So I hope to see a lot of throwbacks to season 1, but not direct homages, but like some sort of teases, maybe Easter eggs, maybe something that sort of parallels the journey, so that we can see that. So that would be kind of my hope. Car centric, lots of Danvers sisters, and trying to circle, create a circle, go full circle. That would be my hope. All my favorite final seasons do that. They go back to the beginning and get us to the end. So I don't know, in terms of like bad guys or other characters, I mean, it's kind of tough. I would like to see a Supergirl villain, if possible. That would be great.
Would be good.
One, just one, really. Just
one would be great.
Even one that sort of had something to do with Supergirl, like I'll accept that. Like if it's, the Fatal Five and Emerald Empress, that's acceptable. She's encountered Supergirl before, so I'm okay with that too. So I don't know. I'm trying to go in with low expectations. So we'll see what happens. But I will be really frustrated if it's not at least Kara driven. I don't mind other characters having, character centric episodes, but as long as there's a continued through line of Kara's journey, that's what I would want, because like we've talked about before, I don't know if we'll ever get another Supergirl TV series. So I would just like the show to care about Kara a little bit. So I think that would be my answer to that.
I'm seeing from Jen, she says, I want Cat Grant to come back, which, yes, I think going back to that good final seasons of TV shows, if they can call back to the first season. And I think Cat Grant was such a huge part of that first season, and what made Supergirl such a successful show in that first season. And so I think it would be great if we could get Callista back for at some point in the final season. I would love to see her in the finale, but I would actually love to see it like a little bit more of her than just like one episode where she pops back up and she's like, remember me? Like I would like a little arc with her character. And that could be, as nice towards the end of the season where she kind of sees Kara and they have like a reminiscence of like, look at how far I've come.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's definitely easy to do. And they did that sort of with Wynn. He had that couple of episode mini arc. So I think they could do that with Kat. I think that would be awesome. And I think hopefully that would be good for Callista. I know she came back for 2 episodes at the end of season 2. So maybe she would be open to do that for the final season. Jen says Candor and Crypto, maybe Bizarro coming back. That's how you could also circle back to season 1. Maybe what if we went to Bizarro World? You talking about going to space? Oh my God.
That'd be awesome.
That would be something that trying to think if any of the Superman shows have ever done that.
I don't think so, honestly.
I know they had Bizarro on Smallville, but they never went to a Bizarro world. Bizarro came to Earth. So I think that would be fun to explore. It would also be something they could tie to Sterling Gates' Bizarro Girl comic, which is probably the best Supergirl story ever told. I don't know.
Ooh.
It's debatable. But that's kind of what I would do. Abby wants to know how the Pelicans are doing. We may
never find out. It would be great wouldn't it be great if like Snapper Clark came back for one episode? We find out what he's been up to, and then on the way out, like as he's almost off screen, he just goes,
but how frustrating! How frustrating would be if he like did his hands, but you never heard it,
and then it just fades to black. There's no snap. What I like
a Sopranos ending.
Yes. What I like is the idea of him slowly like leaving the frame, and then finally it's just his fingers, and you think he's gone. He's gone, right? And then his fingers just come back into frame, and they're just like. Snap.
That would be a great payoff for us personally.
For us personally. No one else cares about this but us. No. I've come to terms with that. But it would be nice. What if we had like one episode in season 6 that was just all the forgotten like people from Supergirl? They all come back. They're all mad because the show forgot them.
Speaking of which, Rachel mentions O.G. Kelly, who died in Myriad in season 1.
Oh my God.
Yes. I mean, she could be back from the dead after Crisis. Maybe she never died.
Oh my God. What if Kelly Olsen bumps into her at Obsidian and she's just like going to the coffee machine. And then we just have the Kellys meeting, a meeting of the Kellys.
It's like that meme of the 2 Spider-Men.
Yes. I love that.
Oh man, what a good idea. Yeah, just the original characters from season 1 that we don't get to see
people
anymore.
In the chat are okay. So Emma says Brian the alien. Rachel says, where is Lucy? What happened to her? And Mark says the Dread Gazebo. So we could just bring back all the most important storylines.
It's like how Lost didn't they try to like answer some of the questions like the Hurley-Bird and some of the whispers, like they had a couple episodes where they were just like, we're going to throw all of these answers into this one episode. And I think maybe you could do that. Just take one episode and just wrap it up for all those characters.
Pam
We are
from HR. What's she up to?
we are pitching. I think we're constructing a season right now.
Rachel says the barista calls for Kelly and they both get confused. Both of their hands reach for the cup at the same time.
And you don't even have to get too into the weeds about it. You could just have them do that, and then that's it. And it's just like a wink and a nod. Like you have to be in on it to know who that is.
If you care as much as we do about OG Kelly, you're like, Kelly, post-crisis, she's alive. And if not, you're just like, why are we lingering on this girl's hand?
Do you think they would, you know how for Superman and Lois, they had all those Easter egg tweets? Like,
Yes.
like I would love it if one of the Easter egg tweets was like, this was Kelly from season 1. Do you remember when she died because Supergirl couldn't save her? Yeah, no, that I think should make it to one of those tweets.
Emma asked if the barista would be Hawkgirl. And
See,
yes, absolutely. The barista is Hawkgirl. Like, see, we're working it all in.
You just try to get everything from that universe in there. I am about it. So Morgan, we've talked a little bit about our hopes maybe for the show. Do you have any concerns other than the season premiere and the wonky schedule? Do you have any concerns about what might happen in season 6?
I have several. My one big concern is that because they didn't wrap up Leviathan entirely last season because of COVID, they'll feel the need to keep going with Leviathan. And to that I say, we're all good. It's cool. We understand that you couldn't end the season the way you wanted it to. Just wrap it up in like a tight 10. None of us care. It's cool. Because I don't want to see any more Leviathan. I do want to see Rama Khan come back.
Yes,
because I love him for no apparent reason now. But I wouldn't mind like Rama Khan who emerges from the Bottle City, like having taken stock of his life and like changed his priorities. As he comes out, he's like, "Nah, man, I'm all about that wine life now. I'm gonna start a winery." And then like at some point in the season, they have to go to the winery for some reason. They're like, oh no, we have to go to this winery. And it turns out they don't know it's Rama Khan's winery. And he's like, my friends, my old friends. And he's like giving them hugs. And they're like, we would really rather not touch you. You tried to bury us alive. And he's like, that was in the past, man. The grapes don't remember. Like I want like a mellowed out wino Rama Khan to come back. That'd be great. No, I want a shirt that says the grapes don't remember. But no, like besides the Leviathan having to continue into this season, which I don't want, I think concerns for season 6 probably have mostly to do with whatever was happening with William and Kara, like that romance.
Yeah.
I do. There's always room for it to suddenly become very exciting and compelling. And suddenly, maybe halfway in the season, I'm going to be like, oh, I remember when I didn't like William and Kara. Now I'm like full steam ahead on them. What a compelling, beautiful love story. But I suspect what I'm going to say is, I get that that they're supposed to like each other, but why do they keep just standing next to each other, staring at each other? I don't get it. Is it supposed to be something? I feel like it was a very poorly set up romance where like they started teasing it at the beginning, forgot he was a character that existed on the show for a large stretch of the season, and then remembered and was like, ooh, we didn't set this up at all, but I guess full steam ahead. And I'm afraid that season 6 is going to go even further into the William Kara thing, which I think I will find very boring. So
yeah, at this point, I think they almost kind of have to. If you set that up and did although we know from experience,
they can just drop it.
Yeah, they can just drop it like it's hot.
They've done it before. They can do it again.
So they
spent a whole season building up Kara and James, a whole season, and then in the first episode, she was like, "You know what? Nah, actually."
So I guess they don't have to, but if they want to make it compelling, they would almost have to really dig into that. Because I like William. I think I've said it before on the podcast. I don't understand why he's there.
He doesn't really have a reason to exist as a character.
And he tends to take a lot of her reporting storylines. So I would like it if they made him if they were going to do that romance, to make him a character I cared about, but also doing it without taking away from Kara.
Yeah, I think that if they were going to have him be this reporter, that they're working together. Like I know of a little show called Lois and Clark where they were both reporters and they both got to do their jobs. And I feel like the Supergirl thinks, well, like, if he's doing reporting stuff, then she's got to be doing some superhero stuff or something else. She's not going to be doing the stuff that she gets paid to do. I mean, when's the last time we saw Nia do anything related to journalism at all? I don't remember. And to be fair, I did say this was going to happen. As soon as they said that Kara was going to be Nia's mentor, I was like, that girl's never showing up for work again. And it happened.
Was it Reality Bites, the episode that focused on her and the maybe? But that was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. She's like Kara now, where she gets one episode a season that she gets to remember that she has a job, and then the rest of the time she's just doing dream power stuff.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned like setting the season to a theme, which is what they tend to do, what they've done in season 4 and season 5, I am concerned that they're going to carry on that tradition and continue to write the show that way, and that is a big concern to me, because now I have no idea what the theme is. It could literally be anything, and I have no idea.
They usually announce it. They usually tell you what the theme was. It's like, oh, the theme's going to be like reporters, or the theme's going to be like technology. And this season they haven't. They're like, the theme is that this is still a show that's on. We promise you. It's like, oh, okay, but like, what's it about? Supergirl ? Which we know is not true.
Yes, we know that's 100%.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, my big concerns is like Leviathan coming back and being a thing again. I can't. I'm kind of concerned with, like, not super concerned, but what does the show look like now that they got rid of the DEO? Like, they were at the DEO less and less as the season progressed, but they completely did away with the DEO. So, like, I would love a scenario where, like, the DEO comes back, but, like, more morally questionable than, just snatching people off the streets and never having any kind of trial for them. But, like, if it came back and it's like Director Bones is the DEO director now, not Alex, and he's kind of bad, and so now they have a scenario where they're trying to fight the bad guy, but also the air quotes good guys are also corrupt now, and they have to sort of like fight them too. I think that would be interesting, but I don't know, like, outside of that, like, what happened? Are they just hanging out in John's bookshop?
Yeah, I think they're going to be operating out of the tower. And that's a good question, though. What does that look like? By the way, my friends are still texting.
That group chat is blowing up.
They must be talking about something really interesting.
Gossip now.
I have a lot of text messages to return when I finish streaming. But that's a good question about what the show will look like without that, because under the DEO, Kara as Supergirl did have a little bit of protection. Like, if she went and messed up a building, or she had to fight a bad guy in the streets, like, I think the DEO could probably cover for her. But now I guess Supergirl's just going to turn over bad guys to the where are we? The National City Police Department. So is she just going to, like, capture bad guys and say, hey, police who have no prisons for aliens.
Here's an alien who has psychic powers and can make you do anything. Good luck. Flies away. They're like, wait, Supergirl, please come back.
So that's my only question about, because the whole thing with the DEO is that they had prisons that could capture these bad aliens. So now what's going to happen?
Like, facilities, like, what happens now? Also, Rachel pointed out in the comments that Brainy was actually, last we left, the director of the DEO.
Oh, that's
completely forgotten about.
100% forgot. Me too.
But also, Brainy was doing some really shady stuff towards the end of season
with
5.
Lex.
with Lex because he thought that was like what he had to do to protect people. But like, are there going to be repercussions for that? I feel like is everybody just going to have to be like, oh, well, you worked with the enemy. And so, I mean, they got over Lena pretty fast. So I assume that they'll just bygones with Brainy, but is there going to be some sort of like repercussion for his actions?
I would think he would have to answer to the government, but they're not going to show that.
No,
that's too.
That's silly. I just thought maybe he would be uninvited to a couple of game nights. It's going to be him and Lena like sitting across from each other in a diner, looking at each other awkwardly, trying to be like, so like going evil's crazy, huh?
Daryl makes a good point. Nia's sister has to come back. They left it on a painful note last time we saw Maeve. Right. So I think that would be a good way to wrap up Nia's story, is to have her reconnect with Maeve. So I think that would be
family. That'd be I at the very least going back to like Nia's hometown and kind of revisiting that family storyline with her, I think would be important before the series ends for her character.
Yeah. And Miss Fiction Fanatic says, did anyone else think Girl Brainy, Megan Rath, Jesse Rath's sister from the bottle episode, was the head of Leviathan? I mean, if we're going to make the head of Leviathan a twin, we might as well have like a different Brainy.
I like that. I'll be with that.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting. Let's see. Daryl also mentions the desert facility is still there, and Alex. I don't know that Alex is still technically the director, because I think Brainy was the director.
Brainy
I think that's
was the director. I did forget about the desert facility.
So I guess they have an out if they need to imprison a very dangerous alien threat.
But I wonder if they're going to do anything with the DEO next season, or if it's just going to be like, well, the building's gone, bye-bye.
Well, the reason I think they had to make a different DEO is because they moved sets. Because the season 1 set, which I actually visited back in the day, because I went on the Warner Brothers studio tour, and they're like, where do you want to go? And I was like, take me to the Supergirl sets. So I actually went to that DEO set, which was more like a bat cave, actually. It had water in there. And I was like, what is this? It looks like a bat cave. But I don't think they have that set anymore, because that was in Los Angeles. So the DEO that we're used to seeing now is the one from Vancouver. So if they were going to spend time in that DEO desert facility, I guess they'd either have to rebuild another section of that desert facility, or I don't know. So I don't know what they would do with that. Jen asks, or kind of proposes, what if Lex blames Supergirl for all the destruction from Leviathan? She gets arrested and held in Stryker's Island, and everyone else is hiding. Lena, Nia, and Alex work on a plan to free her. That's an interesting theory.
Yeah, that could be an interesting one. I don't know. So I've got a question for you, which is like, what are your thoughts on how much Lex Luthor is too much Lex Luthor next season? Because John Cryer's Ducky Lex Luthor, I'm on record, I'm a fan. I think John Cryer's Lex Luthor is great. Way better than I ever thought he would be. I think he's amazing. But he does have a tendency, this is not John Cryer's fault, this is kind of the writing, to take over the whole show when they have him on. It's like they get so excited they have Lex Luthor. They're like, everything is Lex Luthor now. It's like, okay, dial it back. So I don't know how much I want to see him next season, honestly. At first I thought he was moving over to Superman and Lois, and I was like, okay, he makes sense there. Like, go take over that show. But
it's a different Luthor. So
but it's a different Luthor over there. So who even knows?
My thought is, I think they're going to use him as somewhat of a big bad, because it sounded like Kara and Lena were going to team up to take him down. So I have a feeling that we're going to see a lot of Ducky Lex Luthor.
I think so too. Which, I mean, thank God. At least if I have to see so much Lex Luthor and he has to kind of take over, at least he's a very good Lex Luthor. Could you imagine if there was like a Lex Luthor we didn't like and there was this much of him?
Yeah. Well, but at the same time, it is like, okay,
Too much.
Can we have another character? Can we do something else? Because season 5 was very repetitive of season 4.
Yeah, yeah. With the whole like, oh, this is Lex's plan all along. It was like, yeah, so was last season. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's very strange.
If we have another episode towards the end of season 6 where we find out that whatever was Lex's plan all along, I'm gonna flip.
Me too.
That's my fear.
No, me too. Because it's gonna feel like, hey, did you just copy and paste that script and like change some of the names? Is that all you did?
It was a find and replace.
Because that's what it felt like in season 5. So that's my hope, is that they don't. If they're gonna have Lex, use him in a different way. Use him in some creative different ways.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, and Daryl makes a good point. Kara was so focused on Lex and Lena, she completely forgot Lillian was there. So I have big hopes for more Lillian Luthor.
Now, Lillian, that's a character there could always be more of.
Yes.
And also, I'm pitching, but we haven't gotten what we've been asking for the whole time, which is the Dallas Cinematic Universe coming into Supergirl. We need Judith Light. I mean, we'll take anybody, but Judith is really the get, I think.
I still want her to be the head of Leviathan, but
I feel like it's possible if we just believe.
Chef's kiss.
Judith.
That would be the only reason I would be okay with more Leviathan. Oh, that would be so good. But I'll take her in any role. Actually, she would kill any part. Yeah. So I don't know. I have some concerns. I just don't want them to repeat some things that they did in the prior season, and I hope that the stories are a little more creative and character centric, because a lot of times, like we talked about, it has not been. So
yeah,
I'm hoping
I would love to kind of have more of Kara as Kara Danvers versus being Supergirl all the time, and sort of more of Kara's life and like what she's got going on, and maybe just seeing some stuff outside of the Supergirl stuff just a little bit, like having some time, like the Midvale episode when they, when we get the flashback and stuff like that. But maybe Kara and Alex go on a road trip. Maybe Kara and Lena go somewhere. Like, we can get outside of the box of what the show always is and like the structure. I think I would enjoy that if we kind of got outside of the box in season 6. If like Kara and Lena go for a girls' weekend somewhere, or and then obviously there's some sort of drama at the girls' weekend where there's somebody attacks, but this time Lena knows and she's not that mad anymore. Just medium mad, like always.
Yeah, I think we've been pitching the Kara Alex road trip for several seasons now.
So many seasons. Like, I would just take any quality sister time.
There's got to be at least one episode that's just about the Danvers sisters.
Yes.
I don't understand why you wouldn't do that. Kenny asks you, do you think that the Fatal Five could be the main baddies for season 6B? I wish they would.
That'd be fun.
But we have no idea. We have absolutely no idea. I think it would make sense if they brought in the Legion of Superheroes and the Fatal Five towards the end. I think that would be really cool. But I also kind of, I don't know. It's now with this weird schedule, it's tough because normally I sort of hate the season A and the season B because it feels like you don't really put a lot into the first half because you're just trying to get to the second half. But at the same time, I don't want to have 20 episodes of like you dragging it out. But now I don't know. Am I going to get a half a season of Leviathan that gets cut off in the middle of May, and then we come back later, and then we pick up some of Leviathan, and then we get into the Fatal Five? That's going to feel really jarring.
Oh God, yeah. I hope that's not the case. Well, the problem is a lot of these shows that have like a season A, like an A part of the season and a B part of the season, they know that's what they're doing. And I'm thinking back to a great television show called Pretty Little Liars on a ABC Family, aka Freeform now. And they used to, that's how they would schedule the seasons. So I would think of each of the individual like little half seasons as kind of its own thing, because it kind of was its own thing. Like, I honestly felt like that show had been on by the time it ended for like 12 or 13 seasons because of the way that they would play like half of it in the winter, and then you'd get a break, and then it would like come back in the summertime. And so they knew that's what the schedule was, though. So episode, they would build their stories that way, that the story, there would be an overarching thing for the season, but the stories were kind of self-contained into little little 2 chunks. But I think without Supergirl knowing that they were going to schedule it this way,
they wouldn't have written it.
They wouldn't have written it. They wouldn't have structured it that way, because why would they? Why would you break up their final season? And so I think what we're going to end up happening is like a really weird cliffhanger in the middle of the season where it's either a cliffhanger or it's not at all. And we're just like left off on an episode where they're all like, that was fun times. Now it's time to play board games. It's like, okay, Supergirl's coming back. TBD. Definitely don't forget. It's like, okay. They feel like they're in a good place right now.
Yeah. Please come back 3 months from now and we'll pick this up.
Cara's on the couch eating pizza, like everything's great, and it's like Supergirl fades to black dramatically. Supergirl TBD.
We'll come back sometime. Just hang out with us.
Will she finish that pizza?
Rachel says that the episode Kyler's directing could be a flashback. Yeah, I mean, I think she could do that, because then the little Alex would be there for most of it. So I think that could work. I think she would be a great director for something like that. Abby thinks that the season 6 theme is we have no idea.
That's possible too.
What if this would be a really interesting way to break a season. But what if you just what if we did what if this was if they took all of our pitches and just put them in a bag and shuffled it up and then pulled things out, and then they wrote an episode about that. And
I
then
love that.
Yeah, they just threw stuff at the wall and just wrote an episode for the season just like that.
I don't know if this is going to be a popular or unpopular proposition, but I honestly wouldn't even mind it if it was less serialized and more episode of the week. Because if you remember back to season one was a lot more that way. It was a lot more villain of the week and problem of the week. But I think it kind of allowed them to get into character stuff, because they didn't have to be ooh, wait, how do we tie this to everybody's scared of technology? Kara is going to have a breakthrough in this episode, but she doesn't seem scared enough of technology. So I mean, if season 6 just wanted to be a bunch of fun stories that were also, character focused and character developmental, I would be okay with that. I don't need there to be a huge big bad that starts in episode 1 or 2 and goes straight through to the end of the season. They can kind of take a couple steps back, have some fun episodes of the week, and kind of thread through whoever the villain is going to be.
Well, and I think the reason that season 1 worked like that is because you had the villains of the week, but you also had the through line of Kara and Alex's relationship throughout all of those episodes. So you would have to do something like that. If you were to do a villain of the week, you would have to thread it through some important relationship.
And I think that there are so many important relationships on the show now. So there's there's Kara and Alex, obviously, which is always the most important relationship on the show. But you have Kara and Nia's mentor relationship. You have Alex and Kelly and what's going on with them. Will Alex ever adopt a baby? Does she remember that she wants to? You have Kara and Lena. They were beefing last season. How are they doing now? I can't imagine we're going to get back in episode 1 or 2 and they're just best friends again. She's going to Paris to get her croissants, croissants. There's got to be some. I feel like there's got to be some lingering resentment there somewhere on either or both sides. So I mean,
rebuilding trust, I think, would probably be a good way to go about that.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like there's a lot of important relationships on that show that they could use to kind of anchor the season. It could be a rebuilding season where they, all get, back in touch with each other. But I don't know, because I feel like the last overarching storyline I really liked was season 3. So I feel like I'm if you guys just want to do a bunch of one shots, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I mean season 3 I think was, parts of season 4, the second half of season 4 I really liked, but I think the last complete season I really loved was season 3. Emma says season 6 is all improv at this point, which I don't think is a bad thing, because we have learned through improv on the Facus, it's very difficult.
It is very difficult.
But it also provides you a creative outlet that sometimes improves the writing. So I don't think it would be a bad thing to maybe put a little improv in there.
Yes, and
Yeah, yes, for sure. And Abby also mentions that it maybe is a good thing there is no crossover this season. And then the shows don't have to force their way in, like, right around the crossover. They can just write their shows and their
I actually
story.
agree. I do enjoy the crossovers. They're fun every year, but they seem like they take up so much time. And it also takes up some real estate in the season. And since it's her last season, I'm actually kind of glad that Supergirl doesn't have to, like, give up a couple episodes to the either the setup to the crossover and then the crossover, or just the crossover.
Yeah.
I don't think it was as bad. I think The Flash had to do so much build up to Crisis. I felt bad for that show. Well, really got the short end of the stick on that one.
Well, The Flash had always been hinting at Crisis, so they kind of had to put in that legwork for that. Mark says, "Oh,
sorry.
Go ahead. No, you pull up that comment first."
Daryl says Alex at least needs to be on the road to adoption, otherwise her breakup with Maggie will be for nothing. And I agree. The Sanford's relationship was super popular. Everybody really liked it, and they broke them up. And we understand it was behind the scenes is because the actress wanted to leave the show,
right?
But on screen, it was because of this, whether or not they wanted to have kids issue. And so if Alex just never brings up adoption again, it's kind of insulting to all the people who were invested in that Alex and Maggie relationship. That's like, oh, wait, now it's all good?
That has to be part of Alex's, especially, eventually I think it will turn into Alex and Kelly's storylines this season, but it has to be there for Alex to make that work. Mark says Director Bones and OG Kelly go on a road trip to visit Judith Light and the Pelicans. That would be a story I'd be into. I could definitely watch that. I think
that's going to be one of my favorite episodes.
Oh, that would be such a good episode. Let's see. Do we have any other speculations? Thoughts?
Katie says we need Lena, Lillian, and Lex in ballroom attire at the wrong time. Make it a family affair.
What if they got dressed up for a thing that they thought they had to go to, and then they walked in, they were like, oh, we're in the wrong place?
I would love that. I would love it if they're all in, like, ballroom attire, but it's to like a picnic or a carnival. They all show up in, like, floor length gowns, and they're just like, oh, I feel like we're a little overdressed. I feel like Lex Luthor would be a very Jack Donaghy, what am I, a farmer kind of.
Yes,
he'd be like, no, this feels like the right attire for this event.
I think that could work. I would like to see the Luthors together at least one more last time. I think
me too.
If you're gonna have Lex in there, I think all of them should have an episode together. Kenny asks, do you think that both Superman and the Flash will show up in a supporting role for the final episode of Supergirl, the final season? To be honest, Kenny, I hope not.
On the final episode? No, I would hate that.
No, I mean, maybe in the final season, they could maybe, like, come by and say hi.
Okay, so I have to say I'm bitter now. So I will allow the Flash to come visit, but until Superman mentions Kara on his own show, he's not invited to ours.
Nope. I agree. I think Superman needs to remember her before he comes back on Supergirl show. But I think I think you could pay off that, at least honor that friendship between Kara and Barry for him to have one last little, maybe he doesn't have to have a full story in an episode, but maybe they could do something, fight a bad guy together, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Cool. I think it would be fun to have some of those characters on in the last season for various reasons, but I wouldn't want them in the final episode. That should all be about her.
Yes. And Rachel says, I think Sterling Gates should write the final episode. I don't think he'll write the final episode. I think the showrunners usually write the final episodes of TV shows. So you're probably looking at Jessica Queller and Robert Rovner probably writing the final episode. Sterling, I don't even know if he could come back and write an episode of Supergirl because he's still a writer on The Flash.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's even allowed, but he's written, he wrote a great episode in Mr. and Mrs. Mixshes-Pitalik. So I think he would do a great job. And speaking of Sterling, I thought we could talk about back when they first started shooting season 6, he apparently does this every year, but he tweeted out, "It's 2021. Since Supergirl the show began, I've sent the producers a gift to commemorate the start of their season. For this year, their final season, at Comic Girl, Sarah Luber, as some of y'all know, Comic Girl and I made a custom 6-page Supergirl comic up a limited time only, so check it out." So we I guess we could talk about that really quickly, because they did they did tweet it out, and I did ask Sterling if it was okay to share and discuss some of what the contents of the comic. So I thought that was really cool. I didn't know that he did that. And the Sterling Gates Sarah Luver team up is
so good.
Supergirl dream
That's a dream team. Yes.
So I really enjoy that. So it's basically a comic about Supergirl going through the days of the week and talking about, what she does and who she encounters. And so it's a really, really well done comic. It's very short, but it's very Kara focused. You get to see some of the other characters, but it's so well done. So these are just a little of the pages from that comic. So I would love to see Sterling. I know Sterling is itching to write Kara again. He's always.
I wish they would just let him, every time they announce a new Supergirl thing and he's not involved, I'm like, what are you doing?
He wants to write something.
He's right there. He wants it.
I think I even saw a tweet that he pitched something to DC and they didn't want it.
I just it boggles the mind is the thing. It's like, he's well known for writing great Supergirl stories. Why wouldn't you want to go to somebody like that for Supergirl stories? But I'm not DC.
Some companies just don't like making money.
I know.
It's
that would get all of my money. I'm just saying.
It would be a popular, especially if it was a Sterling Gates Comic Girl comic. Just at least one issue. But yeah, he needs to get back into writing Supergirl, because I think that the good thing about this comic that he did with Sarah is that it was, and maybe this is selfish because this is what I want out of every Supergirl story, but it's about Kara. It's about what she goes through on a daily basis. And so I think that's the strength of the way Sterling writes Supergirl, is that he cares first and foremost about Kara and her journey and what she's going through. So I think that's really needed for Supergirl in the comics as well as in the TV show.
And what I really liked about that comic was it takes you through her week. And on the one day, she gets to go talk to the Girl Scout troop, and she tells the Girl Scout troop about her motto and about how hope, help, and compassion for all means for all people. And then later in the week, she sees the Girl Scout troop, and they're like, we talked to Supergirl, and like, now we're motivated to help everybody. And they've got little signs, and it's like stuff like that I feel like what was present early on in the series and has kind of fallen to the wayside a lot more, which is the idea they give her a big hope speech every year, which she televises on TV. I'm sure National City is like, oh, it's May, it's time for another Supergirl hope speech. But I feel like we used to see a little bit more of that sort of her inspirational aspect of Supergirl, and that's kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit, and I would love to see that come back, in particular in season 6.
Yeah, I've always wanted to see more of Kara interacting with people. She interacts with her super friends and the bad guys on the regular, but she doesn't meet new people and interact with the citizens of National City. And that's the kind of thing I wish I could see her do, really impact somebody else who lives in National City. So I mean, I've been pitching that for a long time, but nobody's heard my cry.
How much do we love that storyline with her and like Spike the Dragon? Like,
yes,
little stuff like that. Like, if they can sprinkle stuff like that throughout the season, I think it'll be successful, because that's the kind of stuff that I remember. I don't remember anything that's happening with Leviathan. I didn't remember that Brainy was the director of the DEO, a pretty big plot point. But I can still tell you about Spike the Dragon, because that stuff is like hits you in the heart. It's very it's very emotional. It's about her and what she means to people. And I feel like I don't know that this is the show to get like like caught up in the plot details, because a lot of times they don't make sense. But if you can give us good characters and you can give us good moments, we don't care about the plot details. We don't care about Pencil Skirt's ultimate plan. It doesn't matter. It's about the characters. And I think, if they can get to that next season, then it'll be a great season.
Yeah, she developed that relationship with the little girl who was like Spike was her pet. But then she also, because of the recurring instances with Spike the Dragon, she became friends with Spike.
Yeah.
So those are really cute. And I think that does build on the character of Kara and show what she means to people. And I would love to see more of that. So I guess let's get to some emails, because we have a lot of people sharing some thoughts about season 6. So I think we should go ahead and get to those. So Morgan, will you start with this email from Kenny?
Yeah. So we received an email from Kenny who sent us in his season 6 wish list. So 1, have the final stories in season 6 focus more on Supergirl / Kara and her hero's journey. Yes and yes. 2, more Danvers sister-centric episodes. Yes. 3, have some really cool baddies for the final season, like the Fatal 5. 4, if it is possible, bring back Mon-El, Winn, and the Legion of Superheroes for a mini arc. That would be nice. I wouldn't mind seeing the Legion characters come back.
What if we saw new Legion members? I would be into seeing additional, like maybe they come back, but with different Legionnaires.
I would love that. That'd be really fun. And that's like a nice way, because they could bring in the characters that we know and love, and then they could bring in like 1 or 2 additional people just to introduce those characters in. I think that'd be really fun.
I would love that.
Finish out both Martin Manhunter, John Jones's arc for the series and see where he goes next. 6, have some really cool scenes with Nia and Brainy. 7, I know it's a long shot, but bring back Cat Grant for the final episode of the series. Yes, Cat Grant. 8, give us some emotional depth for the final season and make the stakes high. And 9, have the final shot of the series be either Supergirl going off with the Legion of Superheroes or Kara and Alex on the couch. I like pretty much everything on that wish list. I think either we've already talked about or like was on one of our wish lists.
Yeah, I think those are things that a lot of Supergirl fans would be really happy to see. So it just depends on what they think can fit into the season or what their focus is going to be. And if they fit into the theme of the season, I think that's probably where that's going to go. So Brandy wrote in to share an idea that she had for the plot of season 6 that she liked so much that she wanted to share it with us. So Brandy thinks it will involve the problems of Kara not having her own storyline in the world of Supergirl feeling small. So this is what Brandy says, quote, in a post-crisis, post-Amade world, anything or anyone could have destroyed Krypton. Rogol Zar introduced in Action Comics number 1000 and Supergirl number 29, which if you want to know about Rogol Zar, listen to our Rebirth episode. So we have...
Yeah, if you want to get deep into what's up with Rogol Zar, he's got an axe, by the way.
Yes.
We're confused about how that thing works. You should definitely listen to our Rebirth episodes, if only to hear how confused we can possibly be.
But we do talk about Rogol Zar, so you could learn a little something about him there. So Rogol Zar has escaped the Phantom Zone and is on the warpath to finish what he started, wiping out Argo City and destroying Krypton once and for all. Kara and the Super Friends will spend the season in Argo preparing to take on Zar. The season would be shorter, which would accommodate Melissa's pregnancy and the current quarantine, as well as allowing for tighter storytelling. Since Kara's powers obviously wouldn't work on Argo, the Daft Punk suit makes a return and is modified by Brainy, of course, to allow her access to her powers under a red sun. Another suit would also be created either for Allura or Thara Akbar, who had the gazebo, if you will remember, introducing the hero Flamebird, which is actually Thara Akbar in the comics is the character known as Flamebird. Speaking of Thara, she's supposed to have been Kara's childhood best friend, but this wasn't really explored. I'd like there to be a flashback episode that shows us their relationship like Midvale in space. I would be into that.
Great. Yeah, I would love that.
The season, and that's kind of explored in the Sterling Gates run as well. So I would be interested in that. Brandy goes on to say the season setting could also motivate Nia to want to explore her extraterrestrial heritage on Naltor, perhaps to better understand her powers. As for Alex, I'm not saying she has to adopt a newly orphaned Argonian child, but I think it would be appropriate in a kind of full circle sense. The idea is really just a long way for me to say that I'd like the Supergirl writers to take a step away from topical storylines and dive into more comic booky stuff, unquote. And Brandy also thinks it would be a great time to introduce Crypto, which we agree. And I think that's my preference. I would rather see more comic book elements than the topical storylines myself.
Oh yeah, I feel like there's so much in the comics that they haven't even really scratched the surface of that I would love to see them get into and like just really enjoy being a comic book show. Or just Supergirl specific.
Yeah.
So we have an email from Joseph who writes, it is a little strange that Supergirl is stopping now, but with HBO Max trying to do so much DC material as well, I guess they figure they will start transferring all their stuff to a higher budget, which is nice in some ways, but in other ways, because they were low budget shows, they were willing to take more risks. Let's put it this way. I don't think HBO would have hired Stephen Amell, Grant Gustin, or Melissa Benoist as their leads, as they had little experience beforehand comparatively to who they get as seasoned actors. But I don't think anyone denies the casting choices they made. Whether the shows are good or not, the casting is never the problem, as all the actors have a great passion for their parts. Definitely true. So I do fear that they won't take risks like they did with the CW. Who would have taken the chance to make a Supergirl show on a higher budget in general? I feel they might go back to safe things, as I know they are making another Batman-related show.
Yeah, the one he's talking about is connected to Battinson. So
is what?
There's a show that's connected to the Robert Pattinson Batman.
Oh, Pattinson.
I call him Battinson.
I thought this was like a British Batman that I'd never heard of. Which
that would be amazing.
Crazy. It's not crazy considering that I realized when we were on Legends, when we were talking about Harley Quinn, that Kite Man was like a real, actual villain of DC lore.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, that wasn't just a joke?
Nope.
So the fact that there could conceivably be a British Batman called Battinson does feel real to me.
It's just a way to say Robert Pattinson Batman in a very short way. But the TV show that they're making is apparently supposed to be connected to the world of the Pattinson film.
I like that my theory that they want Batman to be everywhere always turns out to be true.
Always.
They're like, would you like a little Batman with your Batman? It's like, so he goes on to say, but I'm willing to be proven wrong. Do I think that Supergirl can be as good for the final season as its peak in season 3? Unlikely, but it's hard to say. For Arrow's final season, it was mostly a tribute season, and it was shorter than the other seasons, though it was setting up the Canary show, which I'm disappointed is not moving forward, as I do like those actresses and characters and thought it could have been an interesting show. But this season also has to wrap up things from season 5 that they couldn't finish for scheduling reasons, as well as wrap up the series. It would be quite a feat to wrap up all the loose ends, as so many dangle every season. But if they can do it, I'd be happy with it concluding the series.
Yeah, all good points. And I think that there's some valid opinions in there, especially, could the final season live up to something like season 3? I don't know. It is tough to say. I hope so. I hope they end the show with a bang, and I hope it's incredible.
I know a lot of shows that I feel like have sort of a lag in the middle, but then once it's coming to the end, they really tighten it up and bring it home. And I think there's no reason to think that Supergirl won't do that. We didn't love season 5. Let's put it that way. There's a lot happening in season 5, and a lot of it was related to whether or not they were going to launch Obsidian. Which, who cares?
But they succeeded, so they
did. I'm so glad for them. I hope they get their quarterly bonus. But I think that there's some hope that they stepped back from that. They had a long time to really consider what was going to go.
So long.
Season 6. It was a long hiatus for all of us and them too. So hopefully we get a really awesome final season is what I'm hoping for, because I think. I also hope that, they kind of see what some of the criticisms are about the show, and maybe kind of, not that they have to take any of them in mind, but like the criticism I feel like from all corners is that the show could be more about Kara, the person whose name is in the title. And so if they literally just do that and all the rest of the stuff, I will forgive.
Yeah, they had a long time to plan it, and I'm hoping that now that they have this hard deadline to wrap up the show in this season that's broken up as it is, but maybe that will light a fire under them and really get to what's really important with the last remaining episodes. And Mark says, Morgan, you don't realize how right you are that Tom and Jerry movie had a couple of Batman references.
No, really?
And it also, and apparently recently, when you clicked on Tom and Jerry, it played the Snyder cut for like 2 hours.
I was about to say, was it also actual Batman? Because that could have just been the Snyder cut you were watching. That is my favorite thing. I saw somebody posted something online where it was like either Tom or Jerry, but like in like a really dramatic like posture with like lightning in the background, and they were like, "What am I watching?" So that's one of my favorite like insane things that have happened recently, that they swapped out the wrong movie.
I would like to think that it was incompetence. It could be sabotage. I don't know.
It's definitely incompetence. Apparently this has happened to them like multiple times on big properties. Warner Brothers is just bad at this. I think one of the Harry Potter movies got like partially leaked too at some point. So this is not their strong suit.
So I'll tell this story now that I don't work there. But back when I worked at Turner, we had Clone Wars on Cartoon Network. This was back when Lucasfilm started to. This was like their first foray into television. They didn't even know how to format the episodes. They had to ask us a lot of questions about how do you do television? We don't know. And so I wanted to work on it, and my boss at the time said, okay, we had a really small department, there weren't a lot of us. And he said, make your case for why you should be the one handling the Star Wars content. And I was like, well, I dressed up as Chewbacca in high school and I have a picture of it. Would you like that? And he said, okay, you're the one who's going to handle the Star Wars stuff.
I love that worked.
It worked. I looked pretty good. I had like a guitar strap with like aluminum foil over for my bandolier.
Yes.
But I did look like Chewbacca though. I'll maybe post a picture later.
That's so good.
But so that's how I kind of got the position of handling the Star Wars stuff. And so Lucasfilm was really freaked out about leaks, like really freaked out, and with good reason, I guess, a new Star Wars thing. We had to, so number one, if Lucasfilm brought something to Turner, they had to have a guy walk around, just one guy could only hold the tape. Like that was the only person who could hold it. And so then if they actually left stuff with us, the tapes had to be locked up in a cabinet, and the hard drives had encrypted keys so you had to have the key in order to make the drive work. You had to sign out to get the tape. So you had to put your name and date it and time and date it. And it was just very like big security to make sure nothing leaked. And so it's just funny to me. I even had one time, so I used to do electronic sales through, which is basically anytime you go to iTunes or Amazon, or I'm trying to think of all the places we used to send stuff to, Microsoft, Xbox, PS3, we would send episodes to those locations. And one of my managers came up to me. I was like, there's a really high priority, top secret Steven Universe trailer that we need to go out. Can you handle this? And I was like, sure, fine, whatever, Steven Universe trailer. But like, it was a big deal. They did not want the Steven Universe trailer to leak. I still don't know why. I guess they thought it was going to be like a big, like, oh, pirate the Steven Universe trailer. So it's just like, there's a level of, security that goes in with those things. So I don't understand how that mix up with HBO Max happened. It's just very bizarre to me. So
they must not have that kind of security at Warner Brothers. They must have just been like, it's fine. Maybe they've got like late stage pandemic brain. They're just like tired. They're like, this looks like Ben and Jerry. What was it? Tom and Jerry. Ben and Jerry's is what I just said, because clearly I want ice cream.
I'm just asking to treat the Snyder Cut with the same high priority as a Steven Universe trailer. That's
one would think, right? You would think.
That's just all I'm requesting. So that's just a weird story. But it got corrected. So all that to say, yeah, there's a lot of Batman everywhere. So have some Batman in your Tom and Jerry. Okay, so another email that we got. So after we released our Superman and Lois pilot pod, we received an email from Lynn who wrote, quote, "I heard you lamenting the lack of comics from Krypto's point of view. There actually is at least one, which is Super Son's annual #1. And actually, Lynn, we did talk about that comic back in our Streaky the Super Cat character spotlight. So if you want to go check that out, that is the, let's see, do I have an overlay for that? So Super Son's #1. So you can go check that out. There's Streaky's point of view. Streaky and Krypto do a lot of things together. So there's a lot of super pets in that annual. So definitely go check that out if you want to read from Krypto's point of view.
That sounds awesome. I'm going to check that out, actually. It's all I want is more Krypto content. So Lynn sent us an email to respond to some of the points from our Superman and Lois pilot pod episode. He writes, pretty sure the song in the super suit fitting scene from Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, was Bonnie Tyler's Holding Out for a Hero. It was used in everything back then. The scene with the kid and liking the super suit, thanks, my mom made it, is a take from Superman for All Seasons, which is one of my favorites. Before I had my double bypass heart surgery, they tried to do a stent, but couldn't because I had a 100% blockage, Widowmaker, whoa, and a 60% one. Oh, geez. While in there, they found evidence that I had survived a previous heart attack and I had no clue I had one. Apparently, the collateral arteries surrounding my heart kept it working and the damage from being fatal. Also, sometimes a heart attack for diabetics feels like a bad acid reflux, So I probably took a couple of Tums for my heart attack. That is so scary.
Yeah, I'm glad you're okay, Lynn.
Oh my God.
But that was in response. I guess I should have set that one up. But Lynn was responding to our talk about whether or not Jonathan Kent's heart attack is still relevant in today's medicine world. That, you know, people do, like Lynn, people do survive heart attacks. So glad that one was a survival for you, Lynn. So that's very scary and very terrifying, but I'm glad everything worked out in the end. And yes, thank you for holding out for a hero. That's exactly right. And I blanked on it, but that's definitely the song. All right. And our last email comes from Daryl, who points out that, quote, there's a fan theory that Kara might go to the future at the end of the show. If she does, this could be the reason she may never show up on Superman and Lois, unquote. Oh. So what do you think about that? Do you think that's a good excuse for why she's not showing up on Superman and Lois? The timey-wimey stuff again?
I mean, she can always come back from the future is the thing. And also she's in the future. So now she has like no excuse to not know like when he needs help, because she's like flipping through a book and it's like, oh, in the year 2022, Superman really needed help. Where was Supergirl ? And she's like, shoot, I guess I should take the ship and head on back. So I feel like it's kind of a decent excuse for why she's not around, but it's kind of not, because like Wynn just popped back in time to hang out with them for a little while and then went back. So it's like clearly there's a lot of back and forth in the Legion. It's not like once you go to the future you can never return to the past.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't hold up. So I mean, they could maybe make an excuse, but we've seen in past episodes that there's a precedent for coming back from the future.
Yeah.
So there's that. Well, I think that's going to do it for this discussion about the final premiere date of Supergirl.
Oh my God!
It's finally it's happening so quickly.
It's hitting me. I don't have enough time to process because I only got like 2 weeks.
So we're gonna have to get right back into it. So we'll kind of figure it out when we get there to when it's coming up, and we'll figure that out when things happen, because we do need to figure out when we're going to be, because I think we'll try to live stream episodes for the final season.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. Definitely, the premiere would be great.
That would be a different experience. I think that would be fun. Okay, well, I guess since we're wrapping up here, let's get to some DCTV plugs. If you would like to contact Supergirl Radio, you can post a comment on our website at supergirlradio.com. You can email us at supergirlradio@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 678-718-7252 and make sure to write and call in before Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all at Supergirl Radio. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Podchaser, and Spotify, where we also have a Spotify playlist that includes music featured on and inspired by the CW Supergirl TV series. We are listed on DC's fan page, which you can find at dccomics.com/DC-fans. If you like what we do, we encourage you to give us a rating and write us a review on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher. You can find links to everything I just mentioned on supergirlradio.com on the right side of the page. If you enjoy our Supergirl Radio live streams, make sure to subscribe to the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live and wired. DC TV Podcast also has a TeePublic store, so if you are in need of some new DC TV related t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, onesies, mugs, notebooks, pillows, or stickers, go to supergirlradio.com and click on the TeePublic store link at the top of the page.
Supergirl Radio, Superman and Lois Radio, The Flash Podcast, and Legends of Tomorrow Podcast, Black Lightning Podcast, Batwoman Podcast 2, and Titans and Doom Patrol Podcast just for you, Justice League Dark Podcast, Green Lantern Podcast, Stargirl Podcast, Strange Adventures Podcast, and finally my favorite of the bunch, DC TV After Dark, where you're allowed to say fuck.
Still so good. So I guess speaking of DC TV things and the DC TV Public Store, we have a lot of Supergirl S-Shields. So if you are ready to get into season 6 and you want to represent the show and show off your love for Supergirl, we've got many S-Shields on there and lots of Supergirl related t-shirts and hoodies and mugs and all sorts of good things. We have Ramacon Rama Wine shirts and mugs in
Rama
there.
Wine, always a classic. You're gonna want that. I have a mug of that. Have my coffee out of it every morning, but I'm like, this could be wine.
I think we should, the final episode, I think it was mentioned in our call-in show that we should have Rama Wine and the Ramacon's Rama Wine mug for the final episode. So maybe we'll do that. We've got Snapper Car. We have a Snapper Car design in there, a Snap Judgment design. So definitely go pick up some Supergirl and Supergirl related things if you would like to.
And we'd also like to thank our legion of super sponsors for supporting the Supergirl Radio Patreon. So we told you guys all about the Supergirl Radio Patreon last week on our Superman and Lois podcast. And man, you guys have come through in such a way. We have been so surprised and delighted. And we're so excited about doing all of these extra Patreon exclusive content. So our super sponsors are in no particular order. We want to say thank you to Michael, Sam, Anne Marie, Grout.
Yvonne.
Yes, Yvonne. Sorry, my screen went up, and I had to find my way back to it on the doc.
To be fair, it's a pretty long Google Doc, so that's my mistake.
Quinn, Jessica, Nicola, Leslie, Abby, Irmgard,
I think, yeah.
Miriam, Cherie, and Donna. So we want to say thank you to all of our awesome super sponsors for signing up and supporting us on patreon.com. If you would like to become a Legion of Super sponsor, you can visit www.patreon.com/Supergirl Radio. So we've got 4 tiers for monthly memberships. They start at $2 and they go up. And we appreciate you helping us keep the lights on and pay for our hosting and pay for all of our fancy graphics and all of the stuff that we do here at Supergirl Radio. And so we have a $2 level, a $5 level, a $10 level, and a $25 level. And they all have different cool benefits. I think at the $5 level, you start getting some exclusive content. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you'll get like quarterly reviews at the $5 level, and the $10 level you get bonus content, quarterly reviews, and snap judgments. You get to make snap judgments with us, and then at the $25 level you get all of that, and then you can also pitch an episode of a Supergirl Radio and get to be a guest on the podcast.
I'm excited about the people who are going to pitch the episodes because I think that they're going to come up with some cool topics. So
Yes.
yeah, I'm really excited about that. So all that is patreon.com/Supergirl Radio if you want to check out the levels, and we appreciate all the support.
Yes, thank you to all of our patrons, and bonus content will be starting this week. So we look out for that. We've got some fun things planned. So you might see some lab cats. You might get to see me edit the episodes. So there'll be lots of different things that we'll be doing. So you'll get Patreon exclusive content over there. So thank you to all of our super sponsors. All right. So if you want to check me out, I am on Instagram at the Derby Kid. I spent a lot of time last weekend in the woods. So that was fun. I think I got bitten or stung by something because I'm itching all over. So
that's less fun.
That's less fun. And it doesn't hit you until like the next day. Although I wore bug spray. I don't know. It's a whole thing. But so I did get some pictures out in the woods. So that was fun. And if you want to catch me on YouTube, you can go to youtube.com/duckmilkprod. I am going to have one of my goals for maybe this week is to do some Snyder Cut content. So look out for that before the 4-hour-long epic starts streaming on HBO Max, hopefully in the right place.
What if they hide it behind like another children's title? They're like the Snyder Cut, but you're gonna have to watch like Rainbow Bright first.
There was a meme that was going around of like a little kid like watching Tom and Jerry on like a tablet or something, and it showed a picture of Steppenwolf, and the kid was like freaked out. So that could be a little dangerous for a little kid, a little jarring. So you can definitely check me out on Instagram and YouTube.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Mojotastic. And you can also find me as a co-host on the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. I think we're currently in the middle of planning our next podcast before I think we only have about a month before we get more Legends episodes, which again, I've forgotten how to podcast about TV shows, so that'll be fun. We're like, what were the segments we used to do? Do you remember? So we've got maybe like a month and a half. So we're gonna probably do some fun outside the box legendary lady stuff while we can, and then we'll be right back to Legend stuff. So we're excited about that. And then you can also catch me on DC TV After Dark, which episode 5 we recorded and should be dropping within like the next week or so. And there's gonna be a familiar face on episode 5. I think we can tease that our own Rebecca Johnson was on to chat with us.
Yes, I came prepared. And then they asked me some questions that I didn't expect. So,
well, the funny thing for After Dark is that we have our own doc, but we don't share it with our guests because we want them to be off the cuff. We want them to be unprepared. And Rebecca comes in, she's like, "Okay, so I listened to a couple episodes and I have down some notes in my own doc." And we're like, "That's not how you're supposed to do this." But it's a really fun conversation. I can't wait until we post it.
Yeah, that was good. Y'all do a very challenging thing with the pitches because I am not very good at it. I can bounce off of like something you pitch, but I don't know that I'm very good at it.
It's tough. Those instant stories that we do are tough. Yeah, like we give people like 2 DC characters and a scenario, and we're just like, what is it? Like, what are they doing? And it sounds fun until like you get asked something random, and you're like, what are they doing?
So that was good fun, and it was good to be part of the Morgan Glennon podcast universe and get to cross over with another podcast in the universe. So that was a lot of fun. So yeah, definitely check that out. Well, I guess is that everything we want to pitch? Well, I guess we could mention the Fakest before we get out of here.
Oh yeah, we should.
the Fakest season 3 has started. So wherever you listen to podcasts, look up the Fakest. The first episode has already been released. So you'll hear. I had forgotten, Morgan. We were in 2 scenes together. Two different characters.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. I don't know if is she in the first episode. I play a character named Morgan.
Yes, Morgan is in the first episode.
I'm not very nice to you.
No. Morgan is the model employee to Leanne's boss. He really wants her to be like Morgan. So that's kind of how that relationship goes down. But you also play I believe Madame Capral. Is that right?
Oh, it's Thelma.
No, Thelma Meeks. Yes,
I played Thelma Meeks.
Yes, that's what it was. So Leanne interacts with Thelma Meeks. So that was kind of fun. Morgan played many characters, and I just played myself basically.
I got to do some fun voices. I think I told the story of like I got on one recording session and Rebecca wasn't there, but they started me out at one part my accent, and it like just went Southern all of a sudden in like the middle of a sentence, and I was like, I guess it's Southern now. Let's probably take that from the top. Bill's like, I'm gonna stop you. Your accent just wandered, and it's harder to do than you think. Like doing funny voices is easy to do for like a second, but it's hard to do to keep up when you're reading something. I have so much respect for actual voice actors now. It's not even funny.
Well, Morgan is really good in the first episode, so definitely check that out. There's a lot of me in it, but don't listen for me. Listen for Morgan. And
She's great.
and Amy from the Legends of Tomorrow podcast is also heavily featured in the first episode. Definitely check it out. Good stuff. This is the final season. The final season of the Fakest is probably going to get more promotion.
I wouldn't be surprised at this point, honestly.
The final season of Supergirl, but yeah, that's been a really fun project to be a part of, and so it's good stuff coming for you. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for us. So that's going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio. But until next time, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
I'm still Morgan Glennon,
and the countdown for the final season of Supergirl has begun.
DCTV podcast. There's too many now! Exclamation point. Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no!
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom, because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Yeah!